Shalom, this is part 2A of the video I had made, and basically somehow, this is a targeted individual video, but it's for educational, informational purposes, about some things in my life, but it's also designed by me to be a help to others. Let me see what I'm looking for. Okay, here we go. To be a help to others, to possibly help their lives and give you some, as some people may say, a key or keys to unlock certain departments within your mind to research for yourself to help you in your life. So, the video I had made previously, it still had the talking, but from my end, it froze and would now didn't allow the document to actually be shown. So whether it was a malfunction of the camera or it was gang stalkers doing what they do to try to stop you, I don't know. So I just made another video to go ahead with it. Let's see. We're overcomers, right? So, let me see. All right. We're overcomers. So, we're in a position that we just must continue to go forward by the power that's vested in us through the Most Highest and the truth. So, not complaining, I just made another video. So, I'll start off where I left off, and it was basically talking about our rights. We already have the right, and no one gives us rights. And through, like I used, let me see if I can find that book. This woman here who says she represents the Vatican's Pope, and by necessity, she said that she had to tell the so-called African American who we really are, because this is the time of the awakening, and we definitely are. She said we are the true people of this land, that we are the jure people of this land. We are indeed, for over 150 years, we had been subjected, subrogated, hypothecated, personated under the color of law. But it's by necessity now that through the Vatican and through her being the popes, their popes, private attorney, by necessity, had to tell us who we are, and our position and status on this land, being the heirs on this land with unalienable natural right on this land. We are the de jure Americans. And then also I said go back and look at the original videos that I created called so-called African Americans you should watch, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So look at those as well. This is for information and educational purposes. And because this is a gang stalking video, because of what's going on in this land right now, I talk about gang stalking activity that's going on, what they're doing. And she basically said they've been put on notice to stop all these bad faith actions. Of course, our main thing is who we are. That's when you look through these documents, that's the key that we're looking at right there. She said we are the heirs on this land. These are her words. She said we are the de jure people on this land with natural and inalienable right. We are the Americans. And then I talked about, if you go back to those videos, they talk about is this image called Israel Hill. Talk about the free Israelites and other African American free people. But you see, they didn't say the Israelites were African American, meaning subjugated like that. But yet still, it gives insight into who who the Israelites are, the Americans. And then without being subjugated, Webster described through race, his definition of race, and through nationality, who the true Israelites are. We are the de jure royal Americans, as by his description. So then also, I said there are some African Americans who don't know about none of this stuff, who receives welfare, what they call it. And then there's those who worked, literally worked. And it describes why you have the right to receive, for those who receive welfare, and why you have the right to receive retirement for those who worked. I'm just going by what she said. I don't care what nobody else says as far as being under subjection, subrogation. I'm talking about what is your right. So, because you have the right, and also even those Moors who say all rights reserved, or either they say exercising all rights now and at all times perpetually. And then she's letting you know right here through her document, she says she's the private attorney for the Vatican, who represents, or who over the sea jurisdiction, who basically runs all the corporations, who's saying you have this right. That's why I'm mentioning it. Not that I'm saying they're giving us rights, but they're saying this is your right. And even according to Moors who say exercising all rights now at all times perpetually, if this is one of your rights, why you can't receive it? It says, this is what she said. She said, foreign welfare recipients. Americans are considered to be foreigners with respect to the United States of America minor. That is the corporation, and then by their own definition, under 28 U.S.C. 3002:15, they describe themselves as a federal foreign corporation. So they're not a government, they're a private corporation. And then if you look at the Clearfield Doctrine, it just finds in there that when they start producing Federal Reserve notes, they became a private, for-profit corporation. And then, in her own words, she said they're basically just like any other corporation, like Walmart, J.C. Penney's, any other thing that works on this, that's operating on this land. And then, since this is about me to try to help you as we help each other, I've returned, because of overstanding, all licenses, certificates, anything of business, anything, I've returned to them. And because I have the ability to discharge and settle debt, I've authorized them to discharge, set off, discharge, and settle all their debts. Because they're a private corporation, just like any other corporation. If you discharge the debt, that's it. They go on about their business because they're already insured. They're already insured. So that's what it's all about for them. And that's your right to do that. So that's what I've done. Once I got overstanding, by operating on the credit side, and then basically go back to the STK Act of 1666. All they required you to do was give a public proclamation of you claiming to be yourself to be over your own estate. So that's all they required. I've done that. And also, like I said, over 150 years ago, they said that the so-called African American had been subjugated, hypothecated, personated, all these things. But by necessity, they have to tell us who we are. And through research, that's why I said you go look at those other videos, I've proven without a shadow of a doubt of who we are and what our status is. So, get back to what she defined as foreign welfare recipients. It said Americans are considered to be foreigners with respect to the United States of America minor, and anyone receiving welfare benefits is considered to be a U.S. citizen. However, because these programs have been funded with American credit obtained under conditions of fraud and often been entirely paid for by the recipients of a group, as the case of Social Security, some other compelling biases would have to be, first of all, I don't give anybody permission to interfere with this video, interfere with my information I'm providing, because I'm telling the truth based on even what they're saying. So I don't give anyone, no gang stalkers, no programs, nothing, right to interfere with my right to express myself and to share information, which is true. So it says, with respect to the United States of America minor, which is the corporation, anyone receiving welfare benefits is considered to be a U.S. citizen. And then also the term African American and all these other colorful terms were created to subjugate you, subrogate you, hypothecate you, personate you under their created person under the 14th Amendment. Do research on that. However, because these programs have been funded with American credit, what is American credit? Your de jure autograph and signature produces when you sign something, even when you are not aware of what you're doing. And that's what she's telling you. Now, once again, they done blacked out the screen because this is an educational video, right? So they have forces, these gang stalkers, who are try to either interfere with what I'm saying or either dictate what I'm saying. But if I'm saying something that's incorrect, they never put nothing on the record. They always do hidden stuff, so that let me know I'm correct. Because if they were up and up, if they were legitimate, they would put on the record, you're wrong in that, put it down on the bottom line, and then I could correct myself and we can correct ourselves. But like what she basically gave us information to tell us why we have the right to do certain things. She didn't give us rights, but she said by necessity she had to tell her these things because she's a private attorney representing Rome and their Pope, which is part of the head that runs the corporations from the three core operations that operates the corporations on this land. So it's an individual retirees. I'm going to get back to the foreign welfare recipients. It says, and anyone receiving welfare benefits is considered to be a U.S. citizen. However, because these programs have been funded with American credit obtained under conditions of fraud and often have been entirely paid for by recipients as a group, as in the case of Social Security. Also, let me say this. The Most Highest has said, he said, what you hear on the in secret, shout from the rooftops. So, like I said, majority of us, including myself, never knew anything about none of this. Even these documents, we didn't know anything about none of this, most of us. But now that it is out, it's our obligation to share this information for us to research and do more study and more. But just know who you are and know who, even in these documents, who you are that they're talking about in these documents. Okay, let me get back. See, because these programs have been funded with the American credit obtained under conditions of fraud and often been entirely paid for by the recipients as a group, as in the case of Social Security, some other compelling basis would have to be established before the United States of America minor, the corporation, could convincingly claim American welfare recipients as U.S. citizens. And everything the corporation does is under the color of law because it don't have any jurisdiction in over the de jure Americans. nor the de jure law of the land. So they operate under the color of law, and he said, and it's under the color of law. It said it's the operations of acting as lawful, illegal, basically, but actually is in conflict with the law. So it basically it's not the law. It's a corporation doing private business, but that corporation still does not have authority over the living sentient men and women being in their proper capacity. And then they also stated in this document that the so-called African American should be considered to be in their proper persona at all times. So you cannot be subjugated, according to them. But they're talking to their own people, own corporations. When they're talking to this whole document is about talking to their people and letting us know, the de jure people, who we are, and to stand up being ourselves. That's the whole purpose of their document. And then it said retirees. The United States of America minor will no doubt attempt to claim that the American retirees owed Social Security insurance coverage or welfare recipients receiving benefits above. See above. It said individual retirees need to object to this interpretation, and I've let them know. That's what I talked about on the other videos, and I've also talked to them, on their records as well, letting them know that I shall do so being myself. And then also, and I'm gonna get into that later too, because based on certain actions in this targeted program, some have attempted to use what I at the time chosen name, and now come to the understanding I have the right to use my free appellation. And even in my free appellation, the name El and Yah are Israelite suffixes, are added to names. Michael, Gabriel, Ezekiel, on down the line, Elijah, El, Yah. Those are our rightful titles, rightful appellations as well. Because the Moors use El and what is it? Bay. But also, if you look at their document, it said the de jure people have the right to use those titles as well as others. And the Israelites use El and Yah. And the people that that use them are the original American people. It says the United States of America minor will no doubt attempt to claim that American retirees owe Social Security insurance coverage or welfare recipients receiving benefits. See above. It says individual retirees need to object to this interpretation and their status and give notice to the Social Security Administration that it is their understanding. But like I told you, I didn't tell you, I got to correct my verbiage. I have not told you anything, but what I'm doing, I'm expressing for you to consider. That's a better way to phrase it. That we actually overstand that process, because we're not under the color of law. We actually overstand the color of law being on by the law of the land, in the highest law of the most highest. In their status, and give notice to the Social Security Administration that it is their overstanding that the Social Security and it was a retirement insurance program that they paid into and are vested in, and not in any way welfare or benefit of any public charitable trust. This is just more self-interested deceit. American workers pay for every drop of their retirement insurance coverage, and our grandfather then once vested, just as with any other private insurance program, and the Sarah being another private insurance program that's because the Los Angeles County does not use Social Security, they use the Sarah. It said recipient of Social Security payments does not provide any claim against your status as an American national. If the Social Security Administration goes bankrupt, the United States of America minor will be charged as secondary and so on up the food chain. And then, let me see. Then I on the other video, I told you about how I went to a recycling bin to exchange some, plastic bottles and different things of that nature. And then they gave me a hard time and basically was trying to tell me, they wouldn't take it. And I know that's a lie, I'm being honest, because in the past I've done it before and not had to go through all of this. So this was a key in my mind that these were gang stalkers and possibly placed there to give me a hard time, use me as a battery, so to speak, stand in my way from receiving what is mine by right. So they told me that I had to use a blue pen. Since when does anyone tell you you have to use any kind of pen? So that right off the bat let me know that there was gang stalkers there that was trying to subjugate me under the corporation to subrogate myself. So I did not do it. I just gave it to another man who appeared to be an Israelite, or maybe he'd been a Moor, or he might have just been an African American because of the way he was acting. But so this video is to let you know I reserve the right to use any color of pen I choose to use, and that is not no acknowledgement that I am subjugating myself, nor authorizing them to subjugate me, hypothecate me, personate me, subrogate me, or any other type of bad faith action under the color of law. I remain myself at all times. So I have the right to use a blue pen. The other video I looked at, it was a purple pen, but I thought it was blue. So I have the right to use a blue pen, a black pen, a purple pen, a gold pen, which I may use, as my golden allodial autograph or golden signature, de jure golden signature, not a corporate signature, because we actually have the golden touch. That's basically what runs this country anyway. Our allodial autographing signatures is what allows everything to move on this land. Red pen representing the de jure flesh and blood man. So if any time I use any color pen, just let you know, I never give anybody any right to subjugate me. I never give anybody a right to claim me, and nor do they have the right to claim me. Even people that works for the corporation, they say, well, no, at that time when you're working for that corporation, you're not representing a de jure living man or woman. You're representing that corporation. So you don't have any say when a real man or woman comes in and demands a service. It is your job to do your job and provide a service. You don't have the right to tell anybody anything, or tell anybody to tell. You don't have the right to make a decision for that man or woman based on what you feel, because the corporation cannot speak. At that time, since you represent the corporation, you don't have the right to speak. Just do your job. Okay? And that's not being disrespectful or anything, but that's just the truth. Alright, so let's see where else I was at. Also, I went to a location to cash a check that has been determined mine by right, which is a negotiable instrument. And if you look at also through the definition of creditor that's provided by the dictionary, Webster 1828 dictionary, he talks about a creditor, which we are, and that which they determined that we are. And they like I said, they don't give us right, they just letting us know who we are. And we are the de jure creditors based on the fact that the corporation acts under the color of law, and we have the right to overstand that, being ourselves. So, because we're the creditors, and because they issue negotiable instruments, we have the right to cash those checks, but also because they're debt notes, we have the right to, because they're negotiable instruments, to allow each note, if you use them, to set off, discharge, and settle every debt with every note. And if anybody's interested, I'll make another video about that as well. So, and even the checks, they're negotiable instruments. So, they're also able to be discharged, set off by your allodial autograph or golden signature with all rights reserved, exercised, and all rights at all times. So just putting this on the record for educational purposes, which is truth. But this man that was there probably was a gang stalker, based on the fact that he said any other man or woman that's working at a location, they'll just do their job. They're not going to be interested in asking you all these questions. But he for some reason he was interested in saying, well, okay, if I've cashed this check for you, we consider you our property. In so many words. So that's not a real man working at that location. That was a gang stalker. I never give anybody the right, and I never have given anybody the right to subrogate me. And like I said, everything I tell you is in good faith, because I want to put it out there for the fact of the matter that I'm not lying. I'm giving you full disclosure of my intent. When I first woke up from this gang stalking situation, I legitimately was told by the Most Highest that He had called me, and He had given me the name negus-el, negus-el, in truth. But then later, I come to find out, as I say, because as I know better, I do better, and as I'm giving more information, I update my information. And then I come to find out that, Kadesh it was. Then I come to find out Kadash was a better name, but a better definition of who represented him. So I said negus-el, Kadash. That was the chosen name. No fraud ever intended. Everything was in good faith, action. And then I went to 24-hour fitness, and I told them not to subjugate, hypothecate, personate my name, and to do not the name that I was chosen to use in any form or fashion. But then, based on, once again, it appeared to be some gang stalkers, and this, in case somebody was doing something in case somebody was doing something in good faith to try to help me, I apologize if that's the case. But most times in this gang stalking program, it's not the case. They're trying to stand in your way and prevent you from receiving what is yours. So it appeared that what was happening. So I changed to negus, just to use negus-el, I believe it was. I'm trying to remember, negus-el. But you also realize this too. Anytime you have the right, if you make a contract at all, you have the right to use any kind of name at that time for a contract if you make one. And once that debt is settled, that debt is settled. You can't go back and say, oh, because you was using, no, it's settled. So then, listening to the Moors, come to find out I have the right to, to claim my nationality. But I kind of knew that from the beginning. But as I learned more information, I found out we can use our free national appellation. And then, they use el, bay, and other terms. But the indigenous people, the true Americans, the Israelites, have been using el and yah from the beginning. So I have the right to use el and yah. So, in saying that, this man basically said, we consider you basically our property if you cash this check. I said, okay, well, that must be a gang stalker, because like I said, people that's just doing a regular job don't care about all that type of stuff. They just cash your check. And a corporation or anybody represented cannot determine and say that you their property that's the acknowledgement by them saying that they're actually subjugating you. So that's basically putting themselves on the line, on the record too, to say that they're actually enslaving you. That by anybody that does that, they're actually acknowledging that they're trying to enslave you, which puts them not only in bad faith action, but actually is incriminating for them because they're making that comment. And then everything I'm providing unto you is telling you that you are actually free, which we already have been free already, according to the Most Highest. But now they're saying by necessity they have to tell us that we're free. But not only are we free, we've never been slaves, but we are indeed royalty and a race of kings. Look at the other video that I was telling you about for that. That's not me just saying that. Also, they said that we are the ones that have the right as judges on this land, individually and collectively, and no one should better subrogate us. Not even, because we have some Moors and some Israelites. You got to tell it like it is. The people that's acting in good faith, whether they're Israelite or Moors, we're not trying to hurt anybody. We're actually providing information to uplift the people. Not only uplift ourselves, but uplift the other nations as well that shall come in. As the scriptures have said, we are called to be an example, a light unto the Gentiles. And because of this, as we share this truth, everybody will be able to walk accordingly as we should. And then I basically told you about a birth certificate, which they already said is null and void. But at the time, because that's where I was at that time, and a corporation does not have physical features. It is not sentient. But at the time, I sent this document back to them in good faith, because it's the knowledge I had at the time. I said, no, I have